What's going on? 22 here, and it's been a week since I went to Iron City Comic Con here in Birmingham, Alabama. I believe this is like the first year it's ever done anything, and I might be mistaken with that, but I'm pretty sure I've never seen it before. The guest list was pretty good as far as like people that were coming. Michael Golden was one of the comic creators that was coming that I readily recognized. There were several Star Trek people that were coming in. They had Ray Park, who was supposed to be coming in, known as Darth Maul in the Star Wars world, and also Toad in the very first X-Men movie. I really wanted to not get an autograph because he was really expensive, at least in my opinion, for autographs. But I really wanted to just go up there and be like, so, Deadpool and Wolverine. And just see what he would say. The biggest draw for me personally was they had all 4 original voice actors for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 90s cartoon. I did wind up getting that filled out, so we'll show that off here in a minute as well. It's pretty awesome, I think anyways. Overall, several reasons why I stretched out making this video. And one of the main ones being because I wanted to let the con marinate. When I left, I was actually extremely mad and very underwhelmed with it. When I go somewhere, I expect whatever the place is known for to be what the place mainly has. If I go to KFC, I expect to get fried chicken, not just sides. And so when I go to a Comic-Con, I expect there to be comics, not this nerd craft festival. And that's what I felt like it was. It was more of a nerd arts and crafts swap meet type event. And it just totally put me off. There were 3 comic book vendors there. That was it, that I remember anyways. Yeah, there's 3 vendors. That was it. There was no, out of probably close to 100 booths, if I remember right. Probably close to 100 booths. There was only 3 actual comic vendors there. But yeah, if I go to something labeled a Comic-Con, I expect to get comic books. I expect there to be comic books there. And there weren't comic books. There was 3 vendors, y'all. 3. And I'm trying to make sure that I rant responsibly here on this, because the con itself, its job is supposed to get guests and vendors, right? Everybody's got to make money on this, and totally understand, totally get that. And the con cannot be responsible, and nor can they do anything about the prices that people charge. But the vendors there for comic books were extremely overpriced. There was an Infinity Crisis number 5. This is the first appearance of Jaime Reyes as the Blue Beetle. This guy had it as a wall book, which is completely fine. I get it. I understand, especially since Zolo will be continuing on with that character in the new James Gunn DC universe. However, he wanted $100 for the book raw. That was what was listed on there. It was $100 for the book raw. Now, I might have been able to say, hey, is that what you're wanting for it? And him say something different. I didn't give him the opportunity for that. I guess that's my fault. However, if I'm I've vended at places, and if I don't want a book to sell for a certain price, I'll put a different sticker over it, because people want to know what's up, what's going on with the books. That immediately put me off, and then digging through the back bins, just his issues were, to me, extremely overpriced. There's another guy that was there who's, at most of the cons that I go to, his booth is usually overpriced as well. So I think I've bought 1, maybe 2 books from him before, and I usually haggle every single time because his books are just overpriced. And then another booth had okay type prices, but pretty much everything was $5 and up. Didn't matter what back issue it was. It was essentially $5 and up. And then he was wanting, whatnot prices, or the original asking price for a lot of his artist variants. The con's not responsible for that. The con can't do anything about people and their prices. And I totally get that. And so as much as that was a bummer, I do not blame the con at all for that. The place was clean. I saw staff members walking around. So there was a presence there from the actual event people. That was nice to see. But a lack of comic vendors at a comic con. Don't call yourself Comic Con. Because you're not. You weren't a Comic Con. You were a craft bazaar, nerd craft bazaar, with comics there. And that's what you should have labeled it as. Tickets were $25 to get in. I feel like that is a reasonable for a con price. $25. That's not bad. Because we're, good, bad, and ugly. The biggest thing that was nice is that I got to meet bottom tier collector again at this con, and we got to like walk around and just hang out and talk, just comics and the con and YouTube and just all the things in life. And that was super awesome and super cool. And so I'm super glad I got to be there and hang out with him. It was worth the price of admission just for that. What did I get from the con? This. This is the only thing I got. If I can get it. Without tearing stuff up. So, this has been in tons of my videos for maybe like 2 years now. I got this print from Renee Jacobs, who did the voice for April O'Neil in the original cartoon series. That the same con, it was Alabama Comic Con, I believe, I got Rob Paulson, who did the voice of Raphael, along with some other characters as well, but I can't remember those off the top of my head. But he was there, and I got him to sign Raphael. Got Barry Gordon, who did the voice of Donatello and Bebop, to sign, of course, Donatello, and put the Bebop up there as well. Boy, Cam Clark did Leonardo. He also did Rocksteady, and so I got him to sign this. And then last but not least, Townsend Coleman to do Michelangelo. I believe Townsend, he's done, all these have done like tremendous amounts of characters from all of our childhood. And we're talking like SWAT Cats, the 7-Up, like Spot guy from the video game. There was a voice. Townsend did the voice for that in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Pinky and the Brain. Just tons of cartoons from our youth are right here within this, and so it was awesome. But TMNT was like where it was at for me. Townsend Coleman also did Yosaki Yojimbo and one other on a regular basis, and I can't remember. Rat King. He did Rat King as well, but he also did Splinter and Shredder. Now, the cool story about that is that he said those, when he did Splinter and Shredder, specifically Shredder, he alluded to Splinter as well, that those were not supposed to air. Him doing that was not, like, it was just supposed to be filler. They were not supposed to air with his voice, but they did. So I went ahead and got him to go, because I don't know that I'll ever meet somebody that did the voice of Splinter or somebody that did the voice of Shredder. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the voice actor for Shredder was like Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and who also did Rhodey, by the way, in the Iron Man cartoon. I believe he did the voice of Shredder, and so like we all know he's gone now. He has passed away, so I'll never get that autograph. But to have somebody that did do his voice is really cool. I think, at least, that it got aired. So, I've got Kevin Eastman on here, and for me to consider this to be complete, like complete, would be to get Peter Laird, of course. Once I've got that, I will feel like this is done, and anything else on top of that would just be like cherry on top. Like, that's all this would be. So, I'm really happy with this piece so far. Each of these guys, actually, Rob was like... Rob, the first year that I met him, I think he was $40 a signature. Now they're all $50 a signature. So, well, the Turtles anyways. I've not seen Renee Jacobs since that first time I met her. But yeah, $50 a signature, y'all. That's, I don't know. It just, I hear a lot of people that go to these big cons and they're like, oh yeah, you'll get 3 free signatures from these comic artists or these writers and stuff like that, and then you have to pay for that, or they'll do this or they'll do, and I'm like we don't get that down here. Like that's not a thing. Eastman, I think, was the cheapest signature I've had on this, and he was $30. And honestly, I'm cool with Eastman at $30, because to me, like, he's co-creator of the TMNT. Like, this is, like, that's, to me, that's huge. That's, you know, that's pretty big, a co-creator of something like this. But yeah, I am glad. I'm happy with what it is, and so, like, I've paid it, and that's done, and now anything that I get on top of that is just cherry, you know, unless I get layered. I really got to get layered. Layered just going to complete this. I like this. I like it a lot. I enjoy it. We were so bummed out, me and Bottom Tier were, about the con and how there's just nothing there, that Free Comic Book Day of this year, I found out that I actually do have a local LCS. And I say local, like, he's a good little drive. He's, you know, for me anyways, we're talking like 30 or so minutes to get over there. So it's a decent little drive for me. From Birmingham, where we were, it was like a 15-minute drive. So that's not too bad. So we jumped in the car and we rolled over to Sasquatch Comics. I'd never been to this place before. It was in the sketchiest area over there. It was like an industrial park that just looked like it had a lot of construction people in it, which is fine. I'm sure the rent's fairly cheap, which is why he does it, and I can't blame him for that, honestly. It's not like the neighborhood was bad or anything like that. It's just you roll up, and like, I made a joke about something about us doing a drug deal. It was funny. So we go in, and I've never been in here before. It's really like tight up front, and then it just kind of expands into rooms. And in the very back of this warehouse type deal, that looks like all his comics. Now there were sections that we didn't go into. We didn't split off to go look into or anything like that. But we mainly were just in there with the comics. He had, you know, just boxes of comics, which was really cool. We were super happy to see that. He did have labels for the comics in like where they were, which is super nice. However, none of them were like categorized. So like you could go from Green Lantern to Punisher to Doc Strange. I don't know. It was just random, and I'm like, I'm looking for Iron Man, and I never found it. I never found the Iron Man, and I just gave up looking for the Iron Man. I think Bottom Tier actually found the dollar bins, and that's what I was like really wanting. I love looking through dollar bins, and so that's what we did. We looked through dollar bins and came away with some awesome books I'm super happy about. This one is going in the PC. This is Dead Man number 2. Now, I am a Dead Man fan. I like the idea of Dead Man, and so I've been collecting the little, because he doesn't really have anything extensive. So this is 2 of a 4-part miniseries. I've gotten to where I start grabbing up all these miniseries, especially you'll see in this haul. So I definitely wanted this in the PC. Crisis on Infinite Earths number 12. I am looking to complete my Crisis run as it is. This one was in not the greatest shape, but for $1, like, I had to do it. It's a newsie on top of that. I thought that was pretty cool. This is the last book of the run, so not my last book, but you know, it's out of 12. House of M, Civil War. When I first got back into collecting, one of the things that I started with was collecting the Civil War run and all of its tie-ins. House of M is one of those that I was missing 2 books out of the 5-ish series of that. I believe Penance Relentless is another one that I'm missing like 3 issues of, and then I'm missing 1 Spider-Man issue from having the entire Civil War story and all of its tie-ins. So, slowly but surely, I'll get there and I'll find them all. Now, this is where it starts the not PC trade sell kind of stuff. So, let's do this. Green Arrow number 3. Really cool Mike Grell cover right here. This is the Mike Grell series of Green Lantern. I have most issues like 2 through 30. I want to say I'm missing 1. I was missing 3 and 4 and 5, I think, is the issues that I was missing from that 1 through 30. And so when I found this for $1, and I still have like those 30 issues or whatever, I was like, yeah, let's just go ahead and keep adding to it, and that way I'll have a full run, and maybe somebody will pick the whole run up then. Deathlock number 1. Of course, I'm always looking for characters number 1s, their first solo titles, things like that, and this right here is Deathlock's like first solo titling. Of course, there's appearances way before this of Deathlock, but this is the first like ongoing title. There we go, ongoing. I think there was a limited series before this that was a number 1. This is the first ongoing. So a newsie on top of that. I dug it and thought somebody else might as well. Fantastic Four versus the X-Men number 1. I'm not gonna lie, this issue was so clean, I thought it was a facsimile. Like, for real, thought it was a facsimile. It is one of the nicest books I think I've ever pulled out of a dollar bin. And I'm always looking now for these Fantastic Four versus X-Men, Mephisto versus that limited series. There's another one, Avengers versus X-Men. I'm looking for all of those little like teams versus teams, because I think it's just a matter of time before we get something like that in the MCU again. We got Civil War, who's to say we won't get an X-Men versus Avengers or something like that and these books pop off. Here is Iceman number 3. And Iceman number 4. Now, these are in rougher shape. However, again, I'm going for the limited series. If I find them, especially in dollar bins or less, I'm going to go ahead and start picking them up, because then I might have complete sets. The Iceman number 1 of this is the first solo title for Iceman. At least that's what I consider it as, because there's no other... Well, there's actually another one that's in the 90s. I still don't think it's a like ongoing series though. But yeah, I'm looking for things like this, and just if I can find them for $1, why not? Marvel Age number 73. This was just a cool Christmas cover. I'm always looking for cool holiday covers to be able to give away closer to those times of years for the Top 10 Alternatives prize pack. And when I saw this one, I was like, oh, that's a cool one. I've not seen it before. And another thing that I thought was cool was this has actually a 5-page preview of Sensational She-Hulk. I'm not sure what issue it is. I assume it's number 1. I need to check. But this book, I don't believe ever like popped off because of that. And that Sensational She-Hulk number 1 did pop off. Some 90s goodness with Storm number 1. This is the first Storm solo title right here. This, along with the Rogue number 1, have both popped off before. X-Men 97, I don't know if these are like still popping off really good or really hard right now. I'm definitely going to check just to see how they are. But for $1, I didn't think it was a bad one. If X-Men 97 hasn't made it come up, then maybe the announcement of a actress to play Storm would. West Coast Avengers number 2. Number 3. And number 4. This was a no-brainer for me. People are loving that West Coast Avengers number 1. They consider that the first team appearance and the first solo title, all that jazz, at least solo mini-series title. What everybody wants to sit there and nitpick about whatever's what. To me, a spade's a spade kind of deal. And when I saw 2, 3, and 4, I was like, yes, absolutely. So now all I gotta do is find that 1, and I am good to go. Have the whole set, and maybe you can put that up somewhere and let somebody pick that up. I've got some DC goodness in here too. Here's Black Canary number 1. We've seen Black Canary once in the movies already. She was prominent in the Green Arrow TV series. I mean, obviously, that's gonna happen. So, could we get her again in the new James Gunn DC universe? I think it's a good possibility. And this right here is her first solo title. So, when I found it for $1 again, yes, let's do this. Here's one that had popped off. I feel like it's cooled down a little bit since then, but may start to rise up again depending on like things that come out. And I actually got to give Bottom Tier Collector some credit, actually all the credit on this book right here, because he's the one that found it. And he actually deferred it to me. He said, hey, here you go if you want it. And I took it. So this is Superman, All-Star Superman number 1. I know that Richard from the Comically Comics podcast really wants to read this series. I am not a Superman guy at all. There's only one Superman story that I've read that I actually enjoyed, and that was Red Sun, and I really didn't enjoy it until the very end of the story. And I'm not going to spoil that for anybody. But I may give this a read, or see if the app Hoopla has All-Star Superman on there, and then maybe just read that trade. I'm not sure. But I've heard this is like really, really good Superman to change your mind on that. Just not a Superman guy. As much as I'm not a Spider-Man guy, I'm not a Superman guy either. The last two were probably the worst condition books that I picked up out of the entire lot of them. But I felt like they still had value, especially being at $1. So this right here is Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 100. Now, I had a lapse in judgment when I picked this up. I still would have picked it up just because, but for some reason, I thought that this was the first cover appearance of Spot. It is not. This actually 99 is the first cover appearance of Spot. It's the yellow cover. It's a pretty cool cover, honestly. But it's quite like this, where he's got appendages coming out of different holes, and that sounds a lot weirder than I mean. But you can see the picture right here of what I'm talking about, so it's cool. This is just a monumental 100th issue. It's got Spot on the cover. People did want this for a bit. Like I said, conditioning was really bad. In fact, for me to have got it to where it is right now, like, I've cleaned it and pressed it to get, like, it had a horrendous spine roll on it. I'm talking about it was bad, real bad. So, but $1, sure, why not? This last book, 100 was definitely the worst. That was the absolute worst of all the books. I got it because it was complete, and because I thought it still had value. This one right here is a little bit better, but not too much better. Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, number 98. Now, this I did know. This is the first appearance of Spot. Now, of course, you've got the Doctor that is Spot in issues before this. I don't remember the number exactly, but this is when he actually turns into Spot. This book really did pop off and was going for a bit, so I may hold on to this one and the 100 and do like a bundle deal type thing, especially because of the condition of them. Both of them are newsstands, so I think that kind of helps me out a little bit. And once we start getting like maybe trailers or updates on Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, then I will be able to move both of these books and maybe make a little bit of money on them. Until then, I'll be happy to hold on to them and let them take up space in a short box of mine. Now, that is it as far as what I got from Sasquatch Comics. My review of them, because he did ask us to do a review if we would or if we didn't mind. I like the store. I'm excited about the store. He seemed really friendly for the most part. Actually, I think his son works there, and his son's like maybe my son's age or something. A little bit older. His son's a little bit older. And I handed my stack, and this one was on top. And I said, yo, these all came from the dollar bin. And he goes, this one's not $1. I said, it came from the dollar bin. It's $1, dude. He's like, it's issue 100. And I'm like, bro, don't even, like, I'm sitting here arguing with an 11 or 12 year old about comic books. So me and Bottom Tier got a really good laugh out of that. We thought that was funny. I did wind up getting them all for $1. I think I spent $18 on some change total after tax. The one thing that the organization that needs to get fixed, like ASAP. That's got to get fixed. I want to be able to walk in, find what I'm looking for, rummage through it real quick so that I have time to look at other things. Because if I'm there, I'm going to look at other runs and things like that, like especially if I can get to them. So please organize it so that I can actually spend more time in your shop and hopefully give you more money, honestly. 2, the dollar bin did have tags, and the tags went from like $2.50 to like $4.50. It made bottom tier, it seemed like, a little weary, because he's like, I'm not picking any up, they got tags on them. And I'm like, bump that noise, like, if it's in a dollar bin, I'm gonna pick it up. And so the guy came around and was like, hey, y'all need anything? And he was really nice, gave bottom tier a stool because he was squatting down on the ground. And before he left, I said, question for you. And I was like, so everything in them is $1, right? And he's like, yeah, if it's like $3 and under, it's $1, and then 4 and up would be as marked. And if anything didn't have, this is the big kicker right here, if anything didn't have a sticker on it, then it would be looked up. And that rubbed me the wrong way. I don't like that at all. I don't like that pricing at all, because I want to know what I'm buying. Like I said earlier, I want to know what it is, how much I'm paying for, because I'm on a budget. Like, I got a certain amount of money that I'm working with, and like I don't want to sit there and waste my time picking up other books and thinking I'm getting stuff for whatever price. Like, that's bothersome to me. And then all you're doing is provoking me to haggle the snot out of you. I'm like, straight up, like, just haggle with you. Please mark all your books with whatever pricing you think is fair. If I don't think it's fair, I'm gonna put the book right back, and I'm not gonna pick it up. I'm not gonna buy it, and that's fine with me. That is absolutely fine with me. But just know, if you keep doing that on too many books, I'm just not gonna come, because there's no point. But the dollar bin, that kind of bothered me. I get it to a certain extent, honestly, because, like, you never know if somebody's gonna, like, take a book and put it in the dollar bin, be like, oh, pull this out of the dollar bin. And it's like, bro, come on, like, don't do that. So I see both sides. I see both sides of it. But the pricing, you can actually fix. You can definitely fix that. You can fix that, and I really hope you do fix that. That's my biggest encouragement to you. I'll be back, because you're really the only guy in town, and you were nice. So, rant is over. I'll be back at Sasquatch Comics, hopefully soon. Will I go to Iron City again? I don't even think I'm going to Alabama Comic-Con, because it was the same way there. And if they have guests that I want to meet, then yeah, $25 a ticket, $25 to go and meet somebody that, I really want to meet, or something like that, or like a comic creator, I'll probably do it then. I'd probably do it then. But, like, to actually go and, like, look for comics or expect comic books, no. If you don't have a creator, I'm probably not coming. I'm probably not, because the experience that I've already had. Like, why should I put myself through that again? You know what I mean? So, like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, that's how I look at it, for the most part. With this instance, anyways. So yeah, no, I don't think I'll be back for that. I hope something happens and it changes my mind. So, because I do know one vendor that works at most of these cons, and I can hit him up and be like, yo, what's it looking like? What are you thinking? And maybe I look at the map and I see, vendors that I know, and I'm like, okay, you got this many vendors, I'll go and I'll hang out, that kind of thing. But for the most part, no, I'm not anticipating going back to any of those cons, unless there's for sure somebody I want to meet. I hope you enjoyed the books that I got there, and I enjoyed my time with Bottom Tier immensely. That was fantastic and worth every penny that I spent. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about the books? Do you have a favorite out of that batch? You can find me on the Comically Comics podcast every Monday. New episodes drop. You can find it on all podcatchers, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. New episodes drop on our YouTube channel, Comically Comics Podcast, every Wednesday, so be sure to check that out. You can also find me on Instagram, Shortbox, and eBay at 22_comics. Once again, thank y'all so much for watching, and as always, y'all have a good one.